Have you ever sat by the window waiting for the phone to ring or a car to pull into the driveway, only to feel that quiet ache when the day slips by without a visit? Maybe you've even wondered, did I do something wrong? Are they just too busy, or do they not care? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. So many of us at this stage of life start to feel that distance, like the threads connecting us to our loved ones are fraying. But here's the good news, those threads can be mended. And even better, you don't have to wait for someone else to pick up the needle. Today we're talking about 5 ways to rebuild those connections and rediscover joy on your terms. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I've tried reaching out before, it never works. Or maybe, I don't want to seem needy. Let me stop you right there. This isn't about chasing people down or apologizing for wanting love. It's about creating meaningful connections, whether that's with family, old friends, or even new faces who light up your world. And sometimes the first step isn't about them at all, it's about you. Let's start there. Let's talk about reaching out first, but without expectations. Now, I know that phrase might make you cringe. Why should I always be the one to call? Believe me, I've been there. But here's the thing. Sometimes people get tangled in their own lives, work, kids, stress, and they don't realize how much time has slipped by. That doesn't excuse it, but it does give us a place to start. Try sending a simple text or leaving a voicemail that's light and pressure-free. Something like, "Hey, I was just thinking about that time we shared a memory. Miss your laughter." No need to call back. Just wanted you to know you're on my mind. No guilt, no demands. Just warmth. You'd be surprised how often that opens a door. Now here's the key. Let go of how they respond. If they reply, wonderful. If they don't, that's about them, not you. Your worth isn't tied to their reaction. This is about you taking back your power to connect, without handing someone else the keys to your happiness. Next up, rediscover what lights you up and share it. When was the last time you lost track of time doing something you love? Maybe it's gardening, painting, or even telling stories. My friend Martha, she's 72, told me she started writing little anecdotes about her childhood and mailing them to her grandkids. Just short, funny stories, no pressure to reply. Guess what? Now her granddaughter calls every Sunday to hear more. By sharing her joy, she created a new bridge between them. You don't have to write a memoir. Start small. Bake cookies and drop them off with a note. Invite a neighbor to join your morning walk. Or even post a hobby project online. You'd be amazed how many younger folks love learning from someone with experience. When you focus on what brings you alive, people gravitate toward that energy. And who knows, you might just find your kids or grandkids asking to join you for once. Finally, for today, build a chosen family, your community. Now, I'm not saying replace your children or relatives, but sometimes the people who show up consistently, even if they're not blood, become our anchors. Take my neighbor Carl. After his son moved overseas, he felt that loneliness creeping in. So he started volunteering at the community center, teaching woodworking. Now, he's got a group of adopted grandkids who help him with projects and join him for Sunday dinners. Turns out, he told me, there's always room for more love at the table. You know, sometimes the hardest part of feeling disconnected isn't the silence itself. It's the stories we tell ourselves in that silence. They don't care. I'm not important. But what if I told you there are tools and tricks, some right at your fingertips, that can turn that silence into a bridge? Let's keep moving forward because you've already taken the bravest step, showing up for yourself. Let's talk about using technology as your ally, not your enemy. Now, I can already hear some of you, "Oh, I'm too old for all that." Trust me, I get it. My hands fumble with these tiny buttons too. But here's the secret. You don't have to master every app. Start with one thing. Maybe it's video calls. My buddy Frank, 78 years young, learned to FaceTime his grandkids by asking his neighbor's teenager for help. Now, every Friday they have virtual ice cream night. He mails them cones ahead of time and they eat together while sharing silly jokes. The kids beg him to host it now. Don't know where to start? Ask a librarian, a grandkid, or even YouTube. There are tutorials made just for us. Send a voice message instead of typing. Share old photos digitally. There's something magical about saying, "Remember this?" while they're scrolling through their phone. Technology isn't here to replace hugs. It's here to keep the door open until you can share one again. Now, this next one might surprise you. Nurture your joy like it's a garden, because happiness is contagious. Let me explain. When my sister Rita's kids stopped visiting regularly, she dove into her piano playing, something she'd abandoned decades ago. At first, it was just for her. But then she started recording little songs and texting them to her daughter. One day, her daughter showed up with her own kids and said, "Mom, we need to hear you play live." Rita's joy became a magnet. Joy doesn't have to be loud. It might be tending roses, baking pies for the food bank, or even watching birds at the feeder. When you prioritize what fills your cup, two things happen. First, you're less dependent on others for happiness. Second, people start wanting to be near that light. Ever notice how kids flock to the relative who's laughing and telling stories? That could be you. But here's the real magic. It's never too late to plant new seeds. Take a class at the community center. Join a book club. Or just sit on a park bench and smile at strangers. My friend Lois started knitting scarves for shelter dogs. Next thing she knew, she'd befriended 3 neighbors who joined her. Your joy doesn't just rebuild connections, it builds legacy. These steps aren't about chasing people. They're about creating a life so full, so yours, that others naturally want to be part of it. And if they don't, you're still winning. Because you've built a world where loneliness doesn't get the final say. We've covered a lot today, how a little tech courage and a lot of self-kindness can rewrite the story. But here's what I want you to take with you. Every small choice to connect, to create, to care for yourself, it all adds up. And sometimes the most beautiful chapters begin when we least expect them. You know, there's something about this quilt that reminds me of life after 55. Each patch is different. Some faded, some bold, some stitched with care, others a little frayed at the edges. But together, they tell a story. Your story. And just like this quilt, the connections we've talked about, whether they're with family, friends, or even strangers, don't have to be perfect to be beautiful. They just need to be woven with intention. Over these last few conversations, we've explored ways to mend those threads. Reaching out without expectations, rediscovering what lights you up, building your chosen family, embracing a little tech magic, and nurturing joy like it's your superpower. But here's the truth I want you to carry forward. You are the common thread in all of it. Your courage to send that text, your curiosity to learn FaceTime, your decision to bake pies for the food bank, it all starts with you showing up for you. I think about my friend Helen. After years of waiting for her kids to visit, she took a bus tour to see the fall colors alone. At first, she felt awkward. Who travels by themselves at 70? But on that trip, she met a group of women who've now become her adventure squad. They hiked, they laughed, they swapped stories over campfires. And guess what? When her grandkids heard about her cool grandma trips, they started begging to join. Helen's joy became a bridge she didn't even know she was building. That's the thing about rebuilding connections. It's rarely a straight path. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and sometimes it starts with a detour. But every small step you take, every risk you lean into plants a seed. Maybe that seed grows into a phone call from an old friend. Maybe it blooms into a new hobby that fills your days with purpose. Or maybe it just reminds you deep down that you're never too old to rewrite your story. So, if you take one thing from our time together, let it be this. You are worthy of love, of joy, of connection, exactly as you are. And the world needs your light. Whether that's sharing a memory, teaching a skill, or simply smiling at a stranger, you matter. And those small acts, they ripple out further than you'll ever know. Now, I'd love to hear your story. Have you tried one of these steps? Did baking cookies lead to a laugh-filled visit? Did a hobby turn into a new friendship? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. And if this resonated with you, pass it along. Hit like, share it with a friend who needs a nudge, and subscribe if you haven't yet. Together, we're proving that life after 55 isn't about fading, it's about flourishing. Remember, my friend, the best chapters aren't behind you. They're the ones you're stitching right now. So go on, pick up the needle. The world's waiting for your next masterpiece.